Hello, hello, and good morning. It's been a while, hasn't it? This is T Writes, and I am your host, Jax Devora. And for those of you who haven't been to one of these, it's totally a-okay. I will walk you through. Uh, First 30 minutes is for basically shooting the shit anyway, so, and letting people trickle on in and settle on down. So, now's a good time to just sort of ramble on for a little bit. But in any case, welcome. My name is Jax Devora. I'm a fantasy author. Or at least I am working on some kind of debut. It is slow going, but fingers crossed that'll be out soon, hopefully. But in any case, this is my bi-weekly writing stream. This is the Saturday morning stream specifically. We also do one on Wednesdays nights called Night Writes. But the concept is pretty simple. If you're viewing this on Blue Sky, I would invite you to click the link that says click here to join the chat. Gabe has joined us. Hello and good morning. But in any case, if you click the link and join the chat, you will find yourself in a nice open space where you can basically say whatever you like, so long as it's not weird to the other members or in violation of YouTube's TOS. Please do not violate YouTube's TOS. I like my channel. If you do write something in chat, I will read it aloud and respond to it. If you're shy, don't worry, we do have an icebreaker. The icebreaker is usually a writing question of some sort that gets you in the mood to talk about yourself, talk to other people, and so on and so forth. Today's writing question, just because it's been a hot minute, I just kind of want to chat with you, check up on you, and see how you're doing. So, how have you been lately? This can be actually related to your writing or not related to writing, whatever you would like to say to respond to that question. While you respond, let me go over the rest of the fun bits to explain to the viewers how this works. But in less than 30 minutes, we will start the first of our word sprints. Now, what are word sprints, you might ask? Well, at the top left-hand corner of your screen, you will see a bunch of timers. Traditionally, a word sprint can be however long that you want. However, we like to go for a full 20 minutes, so that during that 20 minutes, the idea is that in a traditional word sprint, you would write as much as possible, and then at the end, you would talk about how long you went and celebrate your achievements. However, in T Writes and Night Writes, we like to interpret word sprint and writing very loosely. So you can edit, you can transcribe, you can plan, outline, you can do things that are completely unrelated to writing. We've had people do art, we've had people play video games, we've had people just vibe and rest. Whatever you'd like to do in those 20 minutes, so long as it improves your life in some way, just spend those 20 minutes doing that thing, and at the very end, take a break. First little bit, we will talk about how well you did during that sprint, but the rest of that break, which you will see on your screen, are about 15 minutes. You are invited to get up, walk around, use the restroom, get more water, do whatever you need to. I will ramble during those 15 minutes to encourage you to get up and walk around, because those rambles will be long. They will be aimless. They will probably be a little bit political. Who even knows? It's going to be a whole grab bag of fun. There we go. Get up, walk around, do whatever you'd like. At the end of the 15 minutes, we will dive into a second word sprint, and we will do that a total of 3 times, maybe even 4 if we're feeling a little bit spicy at the end of this. So that is the whole shebang. That is, in short, 3 word sprints. Word sprint, break, word sprint, break, and finally the break where we talk about arc calendar for the rest of the week and what to expect. And I release you out into the world. It's very simple and straightforward, like I said. In any case, there has been chatter in the chat, so let's see. Gabe says, IRL, things have not been good, have been not good. Finances are in shambles, and I'm trying to find a new job closer to home. That is rough. I know it's been a hard wheel for a lot of people, but I do wish you the best of luck in finding a new job. The market there is crazy. I'm also kind of looking around, but hopefully you have better luck than I do, and hopefully you find something that works for you, find something that pays a little bit better maybe, so that you can get back on your feet. But if not, you know, I will keep an eye out for, well, that was terrible. I do hope it is soon. Not if not, but for now, you know, don't be afraid to post up coffee if you need, or let us help you, because Blue Sky is a fantastic community and whatnot. So, I'm sorry, that sounded also kind of callous, but in any case, I am wishing you the best of luck. Gabe says, but writing-wise, things have been great. I'm trying to publish a short story art block on the cover, and I'm currently writing fanfic of my own book, LOL. Are those the thread fics, out of curiosity? Because I'm kind of, I've been keeping up with them when I can, but I have noticed, like, I'd find some very late, and I'm making my way through them, slowly but surely, when I can find them and remember to bookmark them. But I am also wishing you the best of luck about the cover, and also with launching that new short story. I am looking forward to seeing it so that I can throw monies at it, or read it if it's posted for free, whichever. I want to support you. In any case, Gabe also says Blue Sky is really generous. I was able to get through it, get enough to pay rent so far. Oh, okay, so I do need to actually dig through your profile and reboot your coffee links, and I will do so actually now, because why not? Doop-a-doop. There you are. Gabe says, also, yes, Avery interested in a modern AU. I told myself that if I did write modern AUs, I had to keep the core themes, which I did pretty well. Oh, I'm delighted, because I love timey AUs in general, like historical AUs that are still like, I don't know, historical AUs, modern AUs, it doesn't matter. It's always so fun to see what people do with those. Oh shit, it's on AO3. I also need to log in. It's been the hottest of minutes. Doot doot. Remember me? Boop boop. Mark for later. There we go. I will check that out when I can. Aha, and I also found your coffee. I am stalking you now. There we go. Anyway. But yes, I do wish you the best all around. And I wish, I wish that, I'm so sorry that things have been difficult. And I'm so sorry in general, like, it's been miserable lately, hasn't it? Like, we're all kind of, like, trudging through it, but one way or another we will make it through, I'm sure. Gabe says it's being posted in chunks, but the thread itself is already around 21k. That is impressive for a thread. I also kind of am curious, like, how does one write a thread fic? Like, how do you have the patience? Like, do you pre-write it and then break it up and try to find like the sweet spots for where the character limits are? And if so, that is an incredible and impressive amount of work, and I do applaud that 100%. Man, also, I do apologize if I am a little bit rambly. I had technically, I say technically because I had gotten about 4 hours of sleep last night, which is bad, I know. I stayed up late, but to be fair, I also slept through most of the daylight yesterday. Um, Today, it's yet another rest day, but we'll see how restful it actually is. Like, the heat is finally breaking, so I might be out and about after the stream, but I also have laundry, so it's like a whole bunch of stuff. But we'll see. You will also notice that I'm not saying, like, Happy July 4th or anything like that, because, like, it was always kind of like another day for me. Like, another yay 3-day weekend, but, like, nowadays, you know. You know. If you know, you know. Gabe says a bit of both, but most of the time, like this one, I'm literally first drafting it real time. It's so freeing for me because it gets my ideas out there in a way that I can pick it apart, edit later. Oh, so you're like, okay, so you are first drafting into the post box for Blue Sky and adding on to it every time you hit the character limit. That is pretty cool. Gabe says, after the sprint, I'm probably going to spend my 4th of July watching a British drama about a gay man in the 1910s, aka the 1987 film adaptation of the book Maurice. That sounds like a fabulous way to spend July 4th. Ladies and gents, and non-binary friends, consider spending today's July 4th watching British media. Anyway, Gabe says, I used to do thread fics on Twitter all the time for fanfiction. Ah, that makes sense. So it's a format that you're familiar with. That is totally understandable. Excuse me. That is totally understandable now. But also, Twitter. That must have been really fun, considering the fact that I'm sure Twitter back in the day didn't have the fun things like add post. But man. Okay, so it's a format that you're used to. So you are adapting well. And now I'm a little bit tempted because, like, I have to admit, I keep on thinking about like publication in this year of our Lord 2026, and the idea of trying to market a book and trying to make any sort of money off a book, and taxes, and how much goes into just getting the book out there. And I'm like, I would love to just be able to release my stuff for free, because I know I don't know how many people would actually want to buy the shit, but I know that some people will, but it's sort of like marketing, let's just say, as I said before. But there's something freeing about deciding to release your stuff online for free, just on whatever platform that you have. Even just like if you go kick it real old school 1990s style and build a Neo-Cities for your stuff. And I know I'm romanticizing the entire shebang of being free and posting your shit online just for free and saying fuck the entire idea of money and marketing and that kind of thing. I mean, you still kind of have to market even with free stuff because, like, you know, people. That's how you get people to read your stuff. But like, it's so much easier to be like, hey, this is for free, go read it, than it is to be like, hey, this is for monies, and it's going to be one of millions on this marketplace over here, and oops, that marketplace is now doing shitty things, so I've pulled it off of this marketplace, and I'm now trying to find another place to sell it on, and it's like a whole big mess. And you could just get your own web space and release things for free. You have free will to do things like that. And it's like, why don't we just do that in general? I don't know. It's a very cynical view of publishing and whatnot, but the temptation is there. But anyway. I have coffee in front of me and it is kind of helping. As for yours truly, I am hanging in there one way or another. Oop. There are all kinds of things that are getting advertised on the onlines right now. I got distracted again. I'm sorry. Gib says, I hate marketing. I do hope that one day my stuff can take off, that I can have everything for free. But lately I'm gonna have to make future EPUBs paywalled. Beautiful but deadly, still pay what you want though. Incidentally, go and check out Gabe's stuff. Let me pull up the itch.io to help. Okay. If you want to go and check out the book that Gabe is talking about, go to gtanthony.itch.io. And yes, it is pay what you want. But you know, throw monies. It's worth it. Anyway. I do hope that people will actually, other than the two of us, will actually listen to that ad and consider it. I like to think that people are actually going to view these streams after the fact. I mean, I think that they are. Like, let's see. What are the latest? There are views here and there. It has been a hot minute since I've broken a good chunk of views. And I honestly don't know what does it, but like for some example, for some reason I have 103 views on a March stream. So I think some people are actually looking after the fact, but who even knows? I'm not going to worry about it, except for I do hope that people are actually listening to that little ad and going. I know that I am, if I hadn't already. But in any case, I think I had. I think I do have the EPUB somewhere in my to read folders. But in any case, do I? Let's see. Could have sworn that I did. I will fix that after the fact. And that will be my expenditure for the day if I don't end up going out later on. I don't even know what the weather's going to be like. I know that much later on it's supposed to be thunderstorming. We are getting a break in the heat, thank God. It is only in the 80s for the morning, and then it's going to climb up to 96, high 90s? 98. And according to the app, oh, it's going to be feeling like it's 105. That is great. I can't wait for the heat wave to be over. And I don't want to even think about the possibility that it is still summer, so we might have another one. Because like honestly, climate change, but also I'm sorry, I just like worry about the future because like if it's getting this hot now, it's going to get hotter as time goes on. And we're just not built for that, man. Like, I know I've been suffering in the heat. I don't even want to think about people who don't have air conditioning right now. And I know that's first world shit, but like, in all honesty, you know, I live in New York City. Not everybody has that luxury. We have cooling stations, absolutely. But like, cooling stations are a finite resource, and they're not an end solution for what's going on. And also, I'll be real too. I do worry about the bees. Like they have figured it out for millions of years. I know, but nonetheless, we have not been treating the bees well enough, and y'all need to think about the bees. But I'm just saying. Less than 10 minutes left to go for our first sprint. I will have to say also, I'm working on that Beast Slinger's book. I nearly called it Bohemia. It is not Bohemia. But I do hope that it gets easier. Like, I feel, I guess, in general burned out, and maybe this is why, but like, just sitting down and writing has been... I haven't been able to write as much as I used to. And I do think that is because of shenanigans offline. I work hard constantly and I barely get any recognition or breaks. Yes, I don't complain about the work all that often, but I am doing so now. And I don't know, I guess it's just sort of eaten into what I'm doing, and just like having worked on TNS for about 4 years straight and not really getting any closer to publication, and mostly just like having it ripped apart repeatedly. I'd hate to put it that way because I'm grateful for the betas, but at the same time, the last round of betaing, I'm still kind of like recovering from and trying not to second guess myself constantly about. But, I also am a little bit concerned that I've only been able to write 4,000 words these past 3 days. And I know that sounds like, oh, hey, that's still a lot, but like, I remember when I was a lot more passionate about writing, I would be able to knock out like 5,000 words in a day for like a NaNoWriMo. And here I am like kind of like trying to push through. But hopefully as it's also like, it's a new idea, so I am trying to feel my way through it and just sort of like try to find the right voice for the main character and try to find the right tone for the narrator and so on and so forth. So it's like switching over from the previous idea to this. It's a whole bunch of feeling and not quite getting there because it's brand new. But I hope the more that I get into it as the month goes on, the more I'm like, okay, I have found things and this feels right and now it feels fun. But for now, it's like still kind of plodding. But we'll see. In any case, it is less than 5 minutes to go, so tell us what you're working on. And also, if you're not yet at your desk and settling in, I would highly recommend that you do and get prepared. So, Gabe says the bees are really important. They really are. If the bees start, like, I know that they say it's really the native bees that are struggling, and it is because the native bees are often very much not built for this kind of weather, and also they're getting muscled out by territory decreases, habitat decreases, I mean, and pesticide usage, and so on and so forth. But really, all bees are in decline, one way or another. All bees are struggling. It's just that honeybees are luckier because they have direct human intervention to keep their populations kind of going. But even they can't tolerate like 115-degree weather, and it's just going to keep getting worse, and we are going to kill off our pollinator population, and then we're going to fuck around and find out, because who else is going to pollinate our food? And ladies and gents, this is what the movie Soylent Green is about. I'm just saying. It is literally even about, because like it is set in a dystopian future where the climate change crisis has gotten out of control, because they were talking about climate change way back in the 70s too. And basically the food chain has collapsed because we can no longer get just regular food. Like, we can no longer grow and support the population in our little human-controlled greenhouses and whatnot. So basically, we're all eating these crackers called Soylent, and I am not going to spoil this movie if you haven't seen it, because like, I know it's a movie that's generations old by now, but like, that is the fun thing about generations old movies. Like, a lot of people haven't actually seen certain films that were classics back in the day. And you really do need to see Soylent Green and experience it if you haven't already, and get yourself an education. But in any case, Gabe says, I think I'm going to keep cleaning up the modern AU, but I also should try to edit Eden Hollow some more. Both are actually noble goals. But definitely go with the one that you're feeling at the moment, because that's the one that you're going to be the most productive with. So I encourage going to clean up the modern AU. Also, fanfiction of your stuff is always fun. 100%. But that said, it is 8:59, so if you aren't already on document, get to a document. And we shall begin with warming up. Back straight in your chairs. Deep breath in. And then out through your mouth. One more time. And then out through your mouth. 20 minutes are on the clock. So, shake out your wrists, wiggle your fingers, get ready, get set, and good luck. Here we go. is sprint number 1. How did we do? That was 368 words on my part, which is not bad considering the fact that it's a fight scene and I don't do super well at those. But also warm-ups, I did not do those, so this is the warm-up. But honestly, I'm having fun so far. Let me actually finish this one sentence because you know I don't like to stop mid-sentence. There we go. Anyway, let's see. Gabe says yay. Gabe also says, I'm wrapping up chapter 3 of the threadfic for AO3. Excellent. I am looking forward to it. It feels like I had just discovered this at the right time. So it's going to be a delight. It's also a lot easier to read stuff when it's like in one long chunk on AO3 than it is on B-Sky, because like I know that I started one of the thread fics and I started like mass liking them, and I'm like I haven't really mass liked thread fic since, because I was like, how bad is this going to be for Gabe's notifications? But in any case, I 100% lost my place on the one where I had started mass liking, so that's bad. But I am finding it very comfortable to sit down and read it, so therefore I'm looking forward to the next chapter. And just actually reading this one and checking out the other chapters as well. But in any case, there should be a drinking game that, how many times I say in any case, you will be drunk by the end of these streams. Anyway, I had mentioned that I was having trouble finding, in the last stream that I did back on Wednesday, I mentioned that I was having trouble finding Honeysuckle's voice. And I'm still having a little bit of trouble. It does feel like she's not as much in this narration as, say, Mick is in TNS. But I do like the idea of letting her be as gay as possible, because, like, she's watching these 4 women fight monsters, and it's very reverent. And I know I mentioned at one point in LGBTQ write-a-thon that she's 17, but I don't think that's actually true. I am still trying to figure out just Honeysuckle's life in general, because I do mention that her crush that I have accidentally developed in the rewrite of the first chapter used to be a scout. So the idea is that Honeysuckle's swarm. Let me actually read the chat first. Gabe says, it's actually really funny because Alex loves the threadfic and they've been liking every post. I honestly love the dopamine rush. Okay, so it's cool to like every single post in a threadfic. Okay. I wasn't sure whether or not that was taboo, so that is definitely good to know. And it might actually be better if I did it like that, because I 100%, like I said, I 100% lost my place with the threadfic where I had started liking every single post. And it's because I was like, I don't remember if I read this part. There's no marker that says that I did. Oh noes. But okay, I will start liking every single post. I just got derailed and I do apologize. So I will go back and finish that thought just for the folks listening at home. But basically, The idea is that honeysuckle's swarm had left their original colony, which was out in the west, the coast, or no, it was the east. So basically, it's sort of like they left, say, New York or Boston to make their way across, almost like they're following the Oregon Trail. But so it's been a couple of years that they've been on the road looking for a new home when they came across this funcapitalist in San Valentino, which is where they are right now, which is actually based on basically the mountains of Arizona, like mountain towns in Arizona. So they reached Arizona. Their queen got captured. It's been a couple of years, but beforehand, Honeysuckle's crush, Peony, had been a scout. So she had lived in the coastal colony, and she was raised to be able to plot and plan a route. There were several other Zizun who planned this route, and once they left, her job would be to go on ahead and scout out for any danger, see the safest route forward, and report back to alert the drones as to monsters to clear out or parts where they need to trailblaze, and so on and so forth. But I don't know how long the colony or the swarm has been in San Valentino, and that's the question that brings up Honeysuckle, because Honeysuckle, it's heavily implied that she was actually born and raised there, but I don't know if that's true, because of Peony, because Peony's an older Zizun. I kind of don't want the age gap, or perhaps I kind of, if I do, then maybe Peony has more of a mentorship. She thinks that's more mentorship, and she has this more familial take, because the Zizun do have communal raising, so everybody is basically family, which I know gets weird whenever Zizun mate, but it's more like if you're brood and born in the same brood, then you kind of acknowledge that you're not actually blood related, and you're basically like students in the same class, essentially. That's how you view each other, rather than brother and sister. And for the most part, you are not actually brother and sister. Like, Zizun workers only lay maybe a couple of eggs a year, even though it's in the same brood comb, and you're born and hatched and raised by the entire community. And it's sort of like, you do know who your blood relatives are, but at the same time, you're also like, we're all just one big community. Every other Zizun who's my age is in the same class. I'm going to mate with this with this non-blood related one over here. So it's sort of like, that's how Zizun workers operate. So it's kind of a weird dynamic whenever you get to the older generations and the younger ones. So I kind of want Peony and Honeysuckle to be in the same brood, but Honeysuckle's a slightly younger one, so who was never involved in the scouting business, and I don't think she has too many memories of the actual ride over. She might have been part of the brood comb that hatched along the way, because unlike honeybees, the swarming Zizun do take a little bit of their brood comb, especially if workers who have laid eggs are going on this trip as well. They want to bring their personal brood along with them. So it's possible that Honeysuckle was born on the road and does not remember the original colony and never really had time to learn the ins and outs of social life outside of this of her swarm because they were always constantly moving to the next place. So she can't do things like speak anything but Zizun. She has trouble with the common language of the country that she's in, which turns into a little bit of a plot point. She doesn't know much about life outside of her swarm, and also that comes into play in San Valentino because once the swarm hit San Valentino, they were essentially separated from the rest of the city. Not that they could interact with the rest of the city because the rest of the city is brainwashed. And they were basically forced to spend all of their time in the silver mines. So she has had zero interaction with the people in the city. She doesn't know much about the monsters outside of the city except for what they're capable of and why and which ones will drag her back and what they do to bees that try to escape. So, you know, she's going into this with limited minds and with limited knowledge, and I will eventually answer the question as to why she was chosen to go instead of, say, a scout like Peony. But there are reasons. One of them is that I do know is a definite spoiler. The others are just like, I kind of do have to fiddle around with them to make sure that they make sense. But in any case, that is where we stand right now. It probably doesn't matter as much, but like I said, it's a part of the entire thing where I'm trying to figure out what Honeysuckle's deal in general is and try to find her voice. Because, like, she's still a very new character for me. Like, I figured out her D&D character completely, but who she was in D&D is completely different from who she is in this book. And I did very little, or I thought I did enough planning beforehand, but I'm realizing that things like her backstory and her motive, like I knew from the get-go that her motivation needed work. Like I was doing Save the Cat style planning for her. And even then, I realized, you know, I'm not 100% sure that it's a solid bit of ground to stand on. But in any case, there we go again. It's a first draft, and one thing that I'm taking comfort in is the fact that first drafts tend to be weird discovery phases. I will eventually figure all of the stuff out, including her voice, and then in subsequent drafts, it will be a lot easier. But I will say this, what I'm writing now feels a lot more together than or a lot more solid than what I wrote for TNS. Like, for sure, I did rewrite a chapter yesterday, because it just sucked so much that I had to. But this chapter, for example, what I just wrote, I would definitely keep it because it feels that fun and feels like it's there. Maybe the language could be tweaked a little bit, but it feels much more exciting and solid than what I did for draft 1 of TNS. Anyway, rambling aside, it is less than half a minute until our next round. So if you're not already at your computer, consider being at your computer. Or a document or whatever, what have you. Gabe says, from what I've heard, it's an interesting premise. I like the world building too. Thank you. that's it. 20 minutes are on the clock. So I will shut up now. And I wish you all the best of luck. Here we go. Alright, that is the second sprint. How did we do? Let me just scroll up and try to find where I was. There we go. 497 words, so that really isn't bad at all. And honestly, this actually does feel very good. And I'm really glad that I started talking about where I was with this during the last break, because now it felt like I had a little bit more solid ground to talk about why Honeysuckle can't talk, which is going to be important in just a moment. Gabe says, hey, not bad. Thank you, thank you. How did you do? But, and I mean, there are still things that I need to answer. Like, she is going to just about ready to pose the question of, hey, why did they send me out instead of somebody who can speak? There are, like I said, there's one spoilery answer. The other one is she actually is the most physically capable Zizun still in the swarm, because the scouts were purposefully run ragged. Basically, the guy who captured them has all of the information about how Zizun swarms work, and he purposefully set things up so that they have stand the least amount of chance to escape. So he has the queen and the drones, and in terms of the workers, he purposefully overworked and essentially ensured that the scouts were incapable of leaving. I can't say, like, I don't know how brutal he went, but, like, I'm sure that wing clipping is not above him. I'm not 100% sure what that would do to Zizun, though, so I don't want to say that's something that he did. But in any case, Peony and the other scouts are physically incapable of flying and as far as they used to in order to be able to find help. And they were never the strongest fighters. Scouts generally are built for speed and charisma and like interacting with the outside parties, and also just ops. You would think that they would also have self-defense. They have limited self-defense because the idea is that you're not supposed to get into a fight. You're supposed to figure out where the danger is and then come immediately back. Like, this first sign of danger, you turn around and you nope out. But so any other worker, however, would have had the time to train, because once the scouts got back and they're like, hey, yeah, there's danger up ahead, then the entire swarm would band together and either tackle the danger as a group or wait for another scout to come back and say, hey, yeah, there's this other way that's perfectly fine. So that's how that works. And therefore, that's why the scouts are easier to wear down. Once the guy who had captured them figured out who was a scout, all he had to do was basically separate them and give them the hardest work so that they're always constantly too exhausted to go out and find work. And the rest of them, the other workers, they're just given the usual manual labor tasks, so they have time to build up strength, but they're still not strong enough or fast enough to make it across the salt flats to the mountains and get over it so that they can find help. And that's the entire point. the main thing is that honeysuckle is built different. There are reasons why, and I will get into them, but those ones are spoilers. But that having been said, yes, she will question, hey, why did you not arm me for this stuff? But, you know, desperation. But also, you know, that's going to be a point. And I don't know how deep I want to get into it. I want her to focus on trying to get her new friends back to San Valentino to fight, to free her people and fight the asshole who kept them captive. But I think her issues aren't as, like, she's not as prone to wallowing in self-pity and self-depreciation as my other MCs, because in actuality, now that I think about it, I have written 3 books in their entirety. I have not talked too much about 2 of them on Blue Sky. Gabe says, did some more cleaning up. I'm feeling some motivation to switch gears to edit, so maybe next sprint? Hell yeah. I fully encourage following that motivation. So for sure, I think that you have done an excellent job. I don't know how far you went with cleaning up, but I assume you did a shit ton of work on that. So treat yourself and follow that motivation. Where was I? Right, with the Z-Zune. So, and with the books too. So there are 2 books I've never talked about on Blue Sky. I did so on Tumblr a lot, but when I moved to Blue Sky, I was very much in the throes of the Nameless Song, so you only know about the Nameless Song. But there are 2 other books. One of them is called The Arcadia, and the other one is called Always the Bridesmaid. The Arcadia is basically Clerks meets High Fidelity. It's about a non-binary barista in a hole-in-the-wall cafe in Boston and surviving a workday at this hole-in-the-wall cafe. The non-binary protagonist is very sarcastic, and the humor it's a comedy, but basically the it's very much a dirty comedy, but the protag feels that they're in their mid-20s and they feel that they're already in a spiral where they're wasting their life, and they have reasons why. They're very ornery to even their coworkers, and they're kind of a dick. And over the course of the book, you know, they learn how that, you know, the problem might be them, and they might have an easier time of doing things if they'd bothered to reach out. But before then, they're like, I'm trash, and therefore I'm going to treat everybody else around me like trash. So that is the Arcadia. Then Always the Bridesmaid is about, I only have 6 minutes to describe that plot, but it is basically set in a sentient library that's also the nexus of all human knowledge and creativity. It's in a dreamscape, so people can visit it if they fall asleep with a lot of worries in their mind. So their dream self is searching for answers. And inside this library are people who were trapped, who were former dreamers who were trapped by the library because their problems didn't have easy answers. So over time they became librarians, and by that that means they would serve other dreamers and help them work through their problems. The main character is a librarian who was trapped during his time in ancient Alexandria. He used to be a scholar at the Library of Alexandria, but he fell into a pit of depression over some unrequited love, which is the dumbest goal I know, but also mid-20s. And also, I never said that book was perfect. There's a reason why I never published it. But a lot of the narration is talking about how he's trash. And then you have Mick, who frequently talks about how trash he is because he's not worthy of falling in love with Eleanor, and he's not worthy of being loved by her, and he's not worthy of being the leader of the dragons, and yet every single action that he takes proves that he is. And it's like, I have a pattern of having masculine protags be very, very hard on themselves. And I wonder what my problems are. But in any case, Honeysuckle is not that. And I don't want her to be that. So she doesn't focus too much on herself. She is one bee of many, and she knows that. She knows objectively that she can't do things alone. That is also the point of the book. It's all about banding together with your fellow community members and realizing that can be anyone, and that you yourself have power so long as you're together with others. So in a way, her problems are similar to Mick's in the fact that, and the idea that she knows that she's not very powerful, but she's not prone to wallowing in self-pity. She's like, yeah, that's objective truth. I'm a bee. Of course I don't have that much power. Of course I'm not that strong. My power lies in numbers, because that's how my people work. But I think she also kind of doesn't realize and acknowledge the similar idea that Mick does acknowledge frequently, that she thinks she has no power, period. And she has no experience, and she was chosen by mistake. So I don't think that she'll wallow in it the way that Mick does, and I don't think that it will affect too much because she's the kind of person who will try anyway. So she's like, I was chosen for a mistake. Fuck it, we ball. Or I don't have any power, but I'm going to throw rocks at you anyway, because at least I can do that. And then she eventually learns that, hey, I can do things with the rocks. And also, I can convince 30 other Zizun to do things with rocks, and 30 people doing things with rocks and throwing rocks at you really fucking hurts. Huh, that's interesting. But I'm really trying my hardest not to rehash any of my previous MC's narration. I think that's why it's so hard to find her voice, because for the most part, for the past 3 books so far, I've been in this mindset of MC needs to wallow in self-pity, but I don't want her to do that, because growth has an author, I guess. But, that's why it's slow going. And that is more rambly rambles. I don't mean to commandeer all the talk about this one book, but I am excited about it, and I am finding a weird amount of pleasure in writing it. It's just, it is just like feeling my way forward and trying to figure things out, essentially. Anyway, less than a minute to go before the next sprint. Gabe, like I said, I do apologize for commandeering most of that time. I do hope that you do follow your instinct and switch gears and have fun with this last sprint. And also, I'm very proud of you for making so much progress. I hope that I hope that was an amazing amount of progress. I hope that by did some more cleaning up, you mean that the next chapter is ready, maybe? Question mark? Gabe says, I love that for you, though. I support the yapping. Thank you. Oop. 20 more minutes. We might have a forced sprint after this. It depends on how folks are feeling. But good luck. I shall stop. Alright, that is the last of our sprints. How did we do? Let's see. Let me scroll back up. 494. So again, not bad. I might do one more sprint. Again, it really depends on how we're feeling. So, do we want to do a fourth sprint today, or do we want to call it? Let me just quickly check the weather. Still says 2 p.m. thunderstorms, and I still do have laundry. I'm in chapter 21 of Eden Hollow edits. I almost finished the chapter by the time the sprint was over. And Gabe also says it's up to you. Man, I am so undecided right now. I do want to go outside before the storms hit, because there are supposedly storms. And today is also a really good day to do laundry. So, as tempting as it is to do one more sprint, especially since I do feel like I'm on a roll, I think I will call it here. I'll get ready to go out just for like a walk and maybe a sandwich. And I will be doing other stuff as well. But I will also say this. Tomorrow I very likely will not have plans. Let me just actually take a quick look at tomorrow's weather as well. Tomorrow is supposedly showering, which means that I will be stuck indoors basically all day. Yeah, it's calling for 2 p.m. showers, which sucks. But you know, is what it is. So it might be that we'll have another one of these tomorrow, either in the morning or in the evening. Other than that, though, let me also look at the general calendar. So we are back on our bullshit, my dudes. I cannot guarantee that Monday or Tuesday we'll have time to do night rides because there are people out in terms of work, and though I am going to be trying to do a hard limit on my work hours, like I don't want to put in more overtime. I could use the overtime, but like I also want to reestablish work-life boundaries. So very likely I will be cutting off at 5:30 as usual, and I might have time for additional sprints for night rides then. But if not, our next guaranteed stream will be night rides on Wednesday the 8th. So I mentioned this way back at the start of the stream, but we do have a night version of T-Rights, and what that is basically the same basic concept, but shifted 12 hours up. So instead of 8:30 a.m., it is 8:30 p.m. So if you're interested in that, there's that. Wednesday the 8th at 8:30 p.m. Sprints to start at 9 p.m. on the dot and to run whenever. If you're still into morning sprints though, the next morning sprint will be on Saturday the 11th. So come along on Saturday the 11th at the same bat time on the same bat channel. That is 8:30 a.m. Eastern time until whenever. Sprints to start at 9 a.m. on the dot. And, you know, we'd love to see you there too. Will there be streams between the night rights and the tea rights? That is also very unlikely. Friday is a maybe. I know that last night I said, hey, we're doing a surprise stream, but then a storm fucking rolled in, and unfortunately I am very much thunderphobic, so I had to basically unplug and go hide in a corner for the entire time that the stream was supposed to be going on, so that was fun. But if the weather permits, if it's not weird and shitty, we will do another stream. We might do another stream on Friday the 10th. That's also if work doesn't run me ragged. Unfortunately, the Thursday the 9th, I do have plans, so no stream then. That is the only time I am 100% not doing a stream. The other nights, it might depend on how I'm feeling. So, just check back. As always, I will announce surprise streams on my Blue Sky. That is Blue Sky jackstavora.bsky.app. I forgot how Blue Sky URLs work. Go follow me on jackstavora.bsky.app, and you will get up-to-date information about whether or not a stream is happening. Usually it'll hit you around mid-afternoon, or just keep an eye out around our usual times of 8:30. I do not use the community tab on YouTube. You can hit the bell to be notified when a stream happens, but these usually get distributed during the stream, so if you don't want to miss a thing, Blue Sky is your best bet. But that having been said, let me just summarize what I just said, because that was a lot of words. We might have another one of these T-Write thingies tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Or 8:30 p.m. or even both. Who knows? I might even do a stream tonight. Who knows? It depends. It depends on how I'm feeling. So, just keep an eye on jackstavora.bsky.social for those days and times. There might not be a special stream first 2 days of the week because work. However, guaranteed stream on Wednesday the 8th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Sprint to start at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the dot. Then no stream on the 9th, possible stream on the 10th, and guaranteed T-Write stream 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Same exact time as this one on the 11th. So there you go. That is guaranteed 8th and 11th streams. 8th is in the evening, 11th is in the morning. Possible streams throughout this weekend and onwards tomorrow, and maybe on weekdays, depending on how I'm feeling. Follow jackstavora.bsky.social. With that having been said, if you are celebrating, I acknowledge you and I respect you, and I do hope you have a good holiday weekend. If you're not celebrating, also extremely valid. I am not. I am going to see if the local cafe is actually serving. If not, then I'm going to come back and cry with a pita and peanut butter because I have not eaten today, which might also explain my shenanigans. But after a nice walk out there and a nice break, I might come back. So again, keep an eye on my Blue Sky. In the meantime, I hope that your day, however you're going to be spending it, is delightful and enjoyable and wonderful no matter what you're doing. Just remember, stay hydrated, know that you are loved and that I love you, and I look forward to talking to you again whenever that is. Again, follow my socials for more information. But take care, and I will see you all later, hopefully soon. Fare thee well, everybody.